Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back to the TED Show. I'm excited and have been excited to have this amazing lady on the show. This is Ashley T. Brundage. Her pronouns are she and her, which is really important. We're going to learn about her and this historic race. She is a candidate in our crazy arena here in Florida, but she's got a fantastic journey, a fantastic story. I'm super excited to have you on the show. Welcome, Ashley. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm excited for your advocacy, and you've got an amazing journey. So I'll talk less and share with the audience who may not know you a little
Yeah.
bit about you.
So I'm Ashley Brundage, and I actually started my second career as a means of survival in the financial services industry after overcoming harassment, discrimination, and a year and a half of homelessness. I started as a part-time bank teller, and then through 4 years of hard work, dedication, and advocacy through volunteering in nonprofit organizations, through being a champion for transit, through being a champion for human rights and dignity for all people across all the differences that we have as a human, I became the National Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion at PNC Bank. Uh,
Amazing.
yeah, in 4.5 years. Like, talk about a glow up.
You did glow up. Oh my God, that is absolutely amazing to go from homelessness to that.
Yeah. And so all of that stuff happened to me. I'm also a mom of two kids. They're now 19 and 17. They keep getting
Wow.
older, and I'm trying not to get older, so it's
You
all great.
started very young.
Yes. um, and so yeah, I'm been an amazing advocate in the community, and I built programs. I've run a program for 60,000 employees, and I built relationships with community organizations, sponsorships through community organizations, and really invested in development of people. I mean, everybody talks about DEI. I mean, Florida literally is now known as the state where DEI goes to die. And I'm like,
It's
bring it
true.
on.
It's sad, but true.
Yeah. And what's really funny is I got an opportunity to have the candidate interview forum two weeks ago with the Florida Chamber of Commerce. And
Wow.
the Florida Chamber of Commerce asked me about my work in the DEI space. And I got a chance to tell them that it's really interesting that people are trying to say that this is not for Florida, when in actuality, really by definition, diversity is the presence of differences that make us each unique. So
Yes.
by definition, there are 22 million Floridians, and there are also 22 million diverse Floridians, because no two are exactly alike. And what
You-
I've done in my career is literally build programs that help people who are different, whoever that is, even the white cisgender straight guy, sell more things and make more money by being connected and being aware and being emotionally intelligent to people who are different in the world. And who in their right mind would ever be against wanting to make more money?
Well, I like the frame of that, and I understand why you're framing that, because a lot of the dissonance and the negativity towards DE&I has been about money, money, money. As what you described it, cis white
Straight
straight
guy.
guy,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely amazed at how quickly the thought process, positive on DE&I to being challenged, transpired in our state. So, in my opinion, because I was like, we are forward thinking, we are embracing it. Every organization I was part of had a diversity component to it, and out of nowhere, I felt like it changed on a dime. And I think that a lot of people are in denial that it hasn't changed. So talk a little bit about that, because I feel like you can barely say DE and I in some organizations now for fear of retribution or loss of funds.
Yeah, I think it's just because we're not framing it in the right sentence. We're not framing it as a business imperative that grows revenue. One of the things that I did when I was the national vice president of DEI at PNC Bank was I built a pronoun policy. And it was really interesting. They came to me to ask for my expertise, because that was part of my job, to build this policy. And then they said, the LGBTQI plus community, Legitimaquois, is literally going to be so excited about this, right? And I was like, that's fantastic, but you know what? We're not going to market it that way. I mean, because literally what you're going to do is you're going to put a target on that community's back. Yeah. Let's think about who pronouns actually benefits, because at the end of the day, yeah, of course, it can benefit the LGBTQI plus community, but it's such a small percentage of people in the world that really, the people who don't have a dominant pronoun are the ones that it really benefits. When I mean that by that is if, most of society uses she, her, or he, him, right? And so anyone who doesn't fit into that category is the marginalized identity group in the middle. Exactly. It's a very, very small percentage. And so if we make pronoun policy about that community, people are going to hate them even more. But in actuality, what we ended up doing is we filmed a marketing video to announce the pronoun policy with two of my amazing friends in HR when I was in HR, Kelly and Kim. And Kelly and Kim are both cisgender guys, males, who happen to have those names, and they get misgendered all day long in emails. People call them and say, and they're like, "Oh, this is Kelly," and they're like, "No, it's not." And they're literally arguing with them. And guess what ends up happening is the productivity of the company suffers from not having pronouns. And so when you make pronouns about productivity and producing more revenue for the organization, here's a realistic example of why DEI is good.
Correct. It's the framing. I haven't heard anybody frame it like that. And I'm really thinking through, because what you're hitting is all of the negative, what I feel like is misinformation about DE&I, that it hurts the businesses, that it's too confusing for the consumer. And they spin it that way in order to bring fear and misunderstanding, which then creates this, to me, false battle that doesn't need to be happening, because you're talking about increasing revenues. You're talking about reaching more people and doing better in your productivity. Yeah. And they don't want to talk about that, which
right.
is crazy.
So
tell me about the. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to do the same thing. I'm like used to being the host, so I was
like, it's weird. When I get interviewed, I'm like, oh my God, I need to shut up, Ted. But I don't want you to shut up. I want you to talk. It's one thing to be an advocate.
Right.
It's another thing to take it to the next level, which you are currently doing. So talk about what you're doing, what you're running for, and how that came to be.
So yeah, I was happy to be the DEI person, and that was fantastic. And I loved my job. But I really wanted to make a bigger impact. And so I actually, 2 years ago, I resigned my role and left my role as the DEI person at PNC Bank. And I focused on growing my company. And so I run a company. It's called Empowering Differences. I do leadership training, consulting, and I actually measure in 90 seconds how empowered people are. And we produce reports and data and analytics to showcase why the DEI work actually grows revenue. And I can actually do that for organizations, which is really fun. I built an amazing client list in the 2 years as an entrepreneur, and focusing on entrepreneurship and economic empowerment was my jam. And I've been doing that for years as an advocate in the corporate space, but now I get to do it to advocate for my business, which has been fantastic. And I was just over the Florida politics. And I mean,
right?
To tell you the truth, okay, there was a moment in February of this year, 2024, I was on this, computer surfing on my phone, and then someone said, "Did you see what the state legislator just said about our community live on the Florida channel?" And I was like, "Oh God." I was like, "Oh God, do I really have to click this? Do I really have to click this button? Oh my gosh." And so of course I clicked the clickbait. The clickbait got me. And literally it was Webster Barnaby, duly elected state legislator, who said live on camera, "What are we doing? We're living in the X-Men movie, and there's mutants and demons and imps walking around here in the transgender community. And And I was like, are you effing kidding me? Like, why in the world would a state legislator go and say that? I would never, as a state legislator, say anything bad about anybody, in essence, live from the floor like that. And especially a broader community. There are an estimated 120,000 transgender, non-binary, or gender non-conforming people who live in Florida. Okay, which is half of 1% of the population. Okay, so and I think that that's on the low end of the estimated number. Okay, because that's from 2011 UCLA Williams Institute study that says half of 1% is the transgender community. I think it's probably a lot larger currently. We're just not telling people because of the politics of this nature. And I was getting ready to move. I was going to move away to New York because most of my business is in the Northeast, anyways. Where I end up doing lots of business. I do some business in Florida, but I was over it. And every time I would be traveling around the world, I do business in 9 countries currently. And I would say, oh, I'm from Florida. And people would say, oh, bless your heart.
Right.
Or I would say, I'm from Florida. And they're like, are you okay? Are you
Yeah.
safe? And I'm like, yes, I wear lots of sunscreen. And I go right into the air conditioning as fast as possible. And then I'm like, and they're like, no, like Ron DeSantis, are you okay? Like Ron DeSantis, are you okay? And I'm like, well, I mean, I did actually win an award from Ron DeSantis for my work.
Wow.
And then they're like, how in the world did you do that? And I'm glad to answer that question in a second. But then I was going to move away, and certain advocates in the community and certain statewide organizations that have connection to politics, they found out that I was going to be moving, and they started calling me and harassing me. Hey, don't run away, run. Don't run away, run. Click. Don't run away, run. Click. And then finally I was like, okay, run where? And they were like, well, let's crunch the numbers. Where I mean, we know that you don't have a lease, so you can move anywhere you want. I gladly gave up my house and when I celebrated divorce 2 years ago. So now I'm free. I'm a free agent.
You're a free agent.
And I've lived in every part of Tampa Bay. So you just say where, and I'm there. And so they said, well, South Tampa needs you. We haven't really recruited a candidate that's raised money yet. And we need you. So we need you on that Democratic ticket because we need to elect a woman in that seat. And I said, I got you.
Wow.
So I'm running for the Florida State House of Representatives, District 65, which serves South Tampa and downtown Tampa and West Chase and Tampa, Hillsborough County, for those that are wondering. If you don't have to live in Hillsborough County to get involved, there's a scrolling thing happening right below me.
That's right.
It says ashleybrundage.com. That's your one-stop shop for getting involved and helping to send an inclusive signal that Florida is open for business.
Yes.
Now's the time to do that. So go on the site, get involved. You can make a donation and just walk away. You could make a donation and then you could get involved because we need organizers. We need people to make calls. We need people to host a fundraising party at their house. I'll come and I'll tell the Ron DeSantis story that I'm probably going to get asked about in about 3.5 milliseconds from Ted.
Right? Yes. No, I want you to tell that story. I don't want to interrupt. I'm fascinated because it goes against every kind of media and all of the other stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So how did you get that award from Governor DeSantis?
Yes. So a bunch of people nominated me for the Florida Commission on the Status of Women's Community Spirit Award. And the Spirit of Community Awards is an award that they give away. And it was created by Lawton Chiles and kept on by each governor since. And what ended up happening was I submitted a powerful nomination about how I brought a $12 million economic impact event to Tampa and how I won a key to the city of Tampa and how I have a commendation from the city of Tampa and how I've gotten proclamations from the Hillsborough County and how I've built mentorship and advocacy programs for women and girls and all kinds of people across the gender continuum in Florida and beyond. And my nomination included my bio, which clearly states that I'm a proud out woman of transgender lived experience. And so the committee said, wow, this is really great. We can't turn this nomination down. So they nominated me. I won the award. And I showed up at the luncheon a couple years ago, 2 years ago, actually. And I accepted the award. I found out that my speech of 2 minutes was removed from the agenda. When I walked in the door, they told me the program was running over, which was not true because the program ended on time, even though they cut the speeches. It ended early. And I think they might have been afraid about what I was going to say on the state of Florida's live stream event. And so I won the award, the plaque, got the picture with Miss Florida, and walked across the stage. You can see it on my Instagram. There's a reel. I cut a piece of it as a reel. I don't know how you scroll back through, and you'll see it somewhere there. And yeah, and it was
amazing.
Yeah, and it included a letter from Ron DeSantis. The letter from him, signed and everything in ink, says that I'm a shining positive example and role model for the community, and that I'm an amazing advocate and mentor to children and women. And he wishes me continued success.
I am thrilled to hear that. That's, you know what the sad part is that, you know, I know why we're both kind of laughing at that and how incredibly ironic
it's ironic.
It is ironic, but just such an, it's the truth though. The award was well deserved and well earned. And instead of looking at what your differences are, which is what you're up against all the time, they looked at the actual core of what you do, which is what should be important every single time, which is the positive DE&I spin and discussion that you're talking about with the productivity and the giving back to the community. I mean, everything you're advocating for is what we should all be advocating for, instead of getting caught up in all of that insanity.
Yeah. Well, so I definitely won this award, and you can find me on Fox News. You can find me on a lot of places talking about winning this award and how we're going to, position this. Because what's really interesting is that the district that I'm running in is a complete flippable seat. It's currently held by a one-term Republican incumbent, and she's not like beloved by anyone. Okay, just throwing that one out there. And so they're almost 30% of the electorate are independent NPA, no party affiliation voters in the district I'm running in.
Wow.
And 32% are Democratic. So just that number, those two numbers alone, is a huge reason why we think we actually have a real chance to win this seat that has more Republicans registered in the district than Democrats. But we can do that with the help of people who want to get involved. It's not just an Ashley thing. She's always connected to other people. And I am not necessarily going to be getting the checks from the evil corporations, okay? Because if organizations or PACs send me a check, I'm going to weigh each one against its ability to drive empowerment for people and how they're actually being held accountable. And I can't wait till I get to do this to a check that I get that does not meet that criteria.
Doesn't align with you. I want to ask you one last question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
And you can share all your contact information again. One of the frustrations from the outside looking in, somebody who's an advocate across the board and believes that there is still power in voting, is getting the LGBTQIA plus community to vote, to get out and vote and actually understand how important that is. I'm in Orlando, and it's a struggle over here. We have a large demographic that identifies as LGBTQ plus, and yet the voting doesn't demonstrate that, doesn't show it. So can you encourage anybody out here who says my vote doesn't matter, or I'm an independent and this is going to make a difference? Can you give some kind of encouragement for them to make them understand how important that vote is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So go just Google Queer the Vote. Actually, there's a huge national campaign happening right now across the national LGBTQ organizations called Queer the Vote. And you'll find out a lot of data about the swing states. But let me just give you one quick history lesson here about how powerful it is to vote. Even if you're watching right now and you live in a district that might be plus 20 red or plus 30 red, okay, know that your vote matters like more than ever in this moment, because the 2000 presidential election happened in Florida, and there were 18 districts where the Democrats didn't even run someone in the district. And in those 18 districts, if just 20 people showed up to the precincts, 20 people showed up in the precincts, Al Gore would have been the president of the United States of America.
Wow.
Okay. So when you think about, oh, I live in the red, I live in all, oh, my vote doesn't really count, that's BS. Okay. This election is going to be so close. I think personally that
Yes.
the Biden Trump, okay, literally is going to be a coin flip election. And you have to vote, even if you think your vote doesn't count. And
That's
then you
right.
need to vote all the way down the slate, down the ballot, okay, especially in Florida. You should also consider voting yes on 3 for recreational marijuana and yes on 4 for access to abortion, because we need to get the government out of making decisions about people's bodies. This is really serious. And you have an opportunity to make those two things happen, which are both about getting the government out of making decisions about people's bodies.
Beautiful. All right, Ashley, what's the best way they can find you, learn more about your campaign, get involved, help you out?
Yes. So ashleybrundage.com, that we're going to try and make things super easy for you. You can also follow us on social media, Ashley T. Brundage, or Brundage for FORFL, Florida, Brundage for Florida. Those are our social handles, dedicatedly just for the campaign. And then for me, Ashley T. Brundage. But you can definitely, you could also type me in on Google and you'll have a freaking field day. You literally, like, the first 50 pages of Google are all written about me.
I love it.
But you'll have a lot of fun. And honestly, I'm really telling you, it's really serious to if you're not registered. The deadline for the primary is coming up. I'm running in a primary election as well, so I have to get past a candidate on the Democratic ticket. And we're taking that seriously. We're putting the investments, we're spending money in the primary. So we need your support to be able to go on in the general.
It's amazing. I am just honored to have you on the show, your advocacy. You all Google Ashley, look at her website, look at her social, the amount of work that you have put into building up and fortifying the community. It's just absolutely amazing. Ashley, come back on anytime. Go to ashleybrundage.com. Find her on Ashley T. Brundage on social. You can also go to empowering differences.com. You can also get to her via me if you really can't do any of that. Ashley, what a blessing to have you on. You're amazing. I am absolutely behind you, and I cannot wait to hear more about the primary and the regular election. Thank you so much for all you do for our world.
Thank you.
All right, guys, get out and vote, get involved. It is so critical. I cannot stress enough how critical it is. This year is critical. And don't think your vote doesn't count, because we can all see what happens when somebody gets in and all of the changes that they can impact in our world. So let's change that up. All right.